What is up guys, my name is Jack and welcome to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking macro tubes. So about 6 months ago I picked up macro tube extensions for my GH5 and my Canon 5D Mark III. At the time I ordered both because I didn't really know which ones would work best with my camera, but honestly for the price of them they were totally worth picking up. Now I've never really done a lot of macro photography throughout my life and I knew that extension tubes would never be quite like using a macro lens, but I really wanted to give them a try and see what they were like. Now most of you are probably here because you want to try macro tubes because you know how expensive macro lenses are. Now it's such a niche type of photography that the likelihood of you really using a macro lens that often is, well, it's unlikely. So getting macro tubes is the next best option. And quite frankly, I was blown away by the shots that I could take. Macro tubes are available from a variety of brands. I got mine from Amazon. I got the Fotga brand for MFT and I got the Viltrox for my EF mount. Now your best bet when deciding which ones to buy is just take a look at the Amazon reviews. If there seems to be a lot of genuine reviews where people have posted images as well, take a look at those products, they're probably going to be the most reliable. You can get macro tubes that don't have any electronics and you can get macro tubes that do. Now the ones that do tend to be a bit more expensive, but they are totally worth getting in my opinion. You'll be able to use the autofocus and you'll be able to adjust the aperture, which you won't be able to do with tubes that don't have electrical parts. Now attaching macro tubes to your camera is super easy. You basically just screw it on where you'd screw on the lens and then you put the lens on the tube. It couldn't be any easier. Most of these sets come with extra tubes so that you can stack them together to get even closer to your subject. Now you'll see from the actual side of the tube what the focal length magnification is. So if you just want to be able to focus in on something fairly close, you'd use the smallest millimeter focal length, and then if you want to go for something bigger, you'd maybe stack them all or just use one of the bigger ones. Now obviously there are a few drawbacks of using macro tubes, and that is mainly the image stabilization. So if you don't have a lens with image stabilization and you don't have a camera with image stabilization, using macro tubes can be really hard. So one thing that I noticed with my Canon 5D Mark III, it doesn't have inbuilt stabilization and neither does my lens, and it was really hard to use all of the tubes put together. It was a lot easier when I just used one of the smaller tubes, but if I wanted that really big magnification, then my lens was just going all over the place. It was really hard to get focus and to get a stable shot. That wasn't the case though for my GH5, which has amazing in-body stabilization. Everybody who has a GH5 sort of praises Life every day for giving them this inbuilt stabilization. It is honestly so good. So I could use all of the extension tubes put together and get real close to my subject and no shaking at all. Absolutely perfect. The GH5 is great for this kind of thing. Also, because it's micro four thirds, you get even closer because of that crop factor. So something really beneficial about using a micro four thirds camera for macro photography. Now, another thing to consider is that when you're magnifying the length of the lens, you also lose a lot of light. So you may need something like a ring flash, but if you're shooting outdoors and you're taking, I don't know, pictures of ants or something, you're going to be out there with the bright light, you're going to be able to get some nice shots. So light isn't really something you're going to have to worry about, but if you're shooting indoors and trying to do product photography or something like that, you're seriously going to have to think about a ring flash or a light source coming in from somewhere to illuminate that subject. So here's a few shots that I've taken with the macro tubes. I honestly think they're so great and just totally worth buying just for a bit of fun and experimenting. You can see from these that I was able to get super close to whatever it is I wanted to photograph, and you just see things in a different light. I mean, most people do not see things this close. I mean, we can go super close to stuff, but we can't even focus on things that are that close to our eyes. So honestly, being able to see the world in this kind of different perspective is really interesting. Now these aren't just usable in photography, but you can use these for video work as well. If you want to get super close to someone's eye or their lips or features where you just want to draw attention to, you can with these macro tubes. You know, they're really great for getting food photography, close-ups of coffee beans, like all that kind of stuff that you couldn't do with a lens that's not got macro features. So that's it guys, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe and hit that little alarm button to see more of my content. If you decide to buy some of these macro tubes and you take some pictures and you share them on Instagram or Twitter, be sure to tag me at Jack Woodhams on Instagram or at JS Woodhams on Twitter. I would love to see your shots. Now, if you enjoyed the macro shots that I shared with you in this video, you can download them all via my Patreon, which is in the link in the description. My Patreon is only $5 a month, but I give away high resolution stills every single month for you to download and use for personal use. That's it from me guys, I'll see you in the next one.